Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. And today we're talking about the new VISEART Cashmerie palette. I did pick up both of them. I have not really gotten to use Viseart too much yet, but I did want to go over Cashmerie, which I absolutely love. So let me start by saying that one of my favorite VISEART palettes of all time has been the Theory palette in Cashmere. And Cashmerie was based off of that in the new like Etendu size. So VISEART palettes come in like essentially 3 different pan sizes. This one, the Theory palettes, these are all like 2 grams each. The Etendu is 1.5 grams each. And then the little like Petite Pros are 1 gram each. All of the pans, they do, they're magnetic and they are removable. So just like lift up here, rearrange them however you'd like. They sell empty palettes and things like that as well. So just wanted to mention that. Now, VISEART palettes, if you aren't familiar with them, they come like this. So this is, it has like that like moleskin texture like on the cardboard. But this is magnetic. So you've got a little ribbon tag pull to help you open that. Tells you what the palette is here. And you've got a mirror, and there's always like a plastic piece here, that little tray that goes on top. I would definitely recommend keeping these, and you can keep them in the box. I know a lot of people do. If you do keep them in the box, the back of the box always tells you the name of the shades. Honestly, I don't keep my boxes, so I just always point to them instead of going through the shade names. Now, this palette, I absolutely love it. We're going to go ahead and let's start with swatches of the Theory Cashmere, and then we'll go ahead and swatch Cashmerie next to it. So I do have lipstick stains on my arm. I apologize. So the Theory palettes, they always have 3 matte shades and 3 satin shimmer shades. So one of the things I like about the Theory palettes, which they're not making anymore, is I like the matte and the satin, but I like how it's like light, medium, deep. And yeah, this is Theory Cashmere. So you can see it's like neutrals, but they're cooler in tone, which is not super easy to find. Now, you can still purchase the Theory Cashmere palette, by the way. It is still around, but I think they are not making anymore. So let's go ahead and swatch this. We're going to go row by row. This is the top row. You can see they're all like beautiful, light, soft shades here. And then for the middle row, we've got, they're more medium depth. I'm going to re-swatch this on my other arm as well, but let's just go ahead and finish this one up while we're at it. And the bottom row, it's not all like deeper or anything, but they are different. All right, look at that. So this is where Cashmerie starts. It's a beautiful, beautiful palette, but you can see how it ties in well with Cashmere, but I still love this shade from Cashmere, and there's nothing exactly like that here. This is going to be the closest. Let me just show you this. And then you can see though that it's going to be warmer. It's not quite as gray. And then this shade here, which is in the top row, let's take a look at that with the medium. You can see it's going to be like a lighter version of that. And yeah, so that's this one. All right, so we've got neutrals, we've got lavenders, we've got roses. I'm going to go ahead and re-swatch the new palette on this arm so you can see it a little bit more clearly, but we can do some other color comparisons as well. I just wanted to show you what the Theory palette looks like with it, because it was the inspiration behind Cashmerie. All right, so if we take a look at the Cashmere palette, let me just hold this up. Okay, so as we're going through these, okay, so starting with this shade here, you can barely see it here. It's really kind of this soft, it looks lavender in here, but you can see it's got a rose base. So it's really more like pinky purple, and it's going to be very light, and there is this really beautiful like satin finish to it. Then we have this more taupe shade, but you can see it's a little bit warmer than a true taupe. So it's more of a soft brown. Then we have this matte cream shade. There's a touch of beige in there. And this is like a vibrant satin. It's like a champagne ivory. Moving on to the second row, this one here is going to be, it's like a little bit peachier than this one up here. It's going to be a warmer brown with a touch of peach in it, and that's going to be a satin shimmer. Then we have this matte tea rose. It's kind of a medium depth rosy mauve shade. And we have a medium tone matte warm brown. And this is going to be a satin coppery brown. Moving on to this bottom row here. This is going to be kind of like this mulberry shimmer satin shade. I mean, look at that. It's really beautiful. There's plum and wine in it. It's a little bit more plum than a true wine shade, which makes it easier to use on the eyes. You know, it doesn't have quite as much red to give you that red eye effect. Then we have this gorgeous, soft, more blue-based lavender shade. Really stunning. And then this one's more of a true taupe shade with a touch of, there's a touch of gray in here, but it's not quite as gray as what we would have in cashmere. And then we have a deep matte espresso brown. So the VISEART palettes are made in the United States. And you can see, you know, you've got this gorgeous like fall print on here. I think it's really beautiful. This palette itself, I absolutely love this. We'll come back and we'll go through, talk about favorite shades and everything. But first, I have lots of eye looks to show you. So again, feel free to use the timestamps to skip around, but let's start on the looks. I have on the VISEART eye primer, and we're starting off with the Refer 16 brush. And you can see this is a big fluffy crease brush. We're going to go into this cream shadow at the top, and we're going to put this is kind of going to be a base. So I'm putting it in the crease all the way up to the brow and lightly dusting it over the lid, just kind of all over. And then we're going to go in with some of these rosy shades today. So we're taking this Energy Soft shader. I'm going into this matte rose shade. I'm going to put a little bit of this here on the outer corner. And I'm going back in with this into this like camely brown, but I'm getting just the tiniest touch, knocking some of that off on the tip, and very softly putting this in the crease, going right above the rosy shade. You can see that the brush is barely touching my skin. So that added just like a touch of shadow, you can see it, and made it a little bit deeper in the crease area. Now I'm going to go back in with the Energy Soft shader, and we're going to go into this like mulberry sparkly shade. Just knock off some of that. I'm going to press this on here. So you can see that it is shimmery, but it's not that shimmery. You can see where like it kind of spreads out, how it's a little bit softer. I'm actually just going to cover this. I thought that shade would be more sparkly than it is. I'm going to add a little bit of that with my finger. You can see it's very sparkly on the finger. Let's go ahead and just kind of tap this on. There we go. All right, I'm just going to go back into this matte shade and just tap that on a little bit darker right here. Let's go ahead and let's try this lavender shade here on the outer portion, right on top of the matte shade. That needs something more. That definitely too light. Well, let's go into this brown one here above it. Let's see how this one works. This is pretty light also, actually. This might be, yeah, too light. I think just gonna have to go back in with this. Just put this all over today. Just gonna take that crease brush and just kind of clean up the crease a little bit. All right, so I definitely made a mess here. I don't know. I don't know if it's the shade is a bit messy or if it's all me. I do think it might be a combination. It's definitely partly me, but yeah, I don't really like this is not my favorite look. So I'm just gonna I think I'm just gonna go with it for today. Let's finish it off with some eyeliner and stuff, and I'll try to clean it up a little bit. For eyeliner, I'm taking the Shiseido. This is the Kajal Ink Artist in number 6 by Roto Green. And I'm just going to put this along the lash line. All right, so I think the color of the eyeshadow is gorgeous, but my application definitely leaves something to be desired. For the lower lash line, I'm going to go into the Camel shade. This is the Sonia G Builder one. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this on the tip and just put this on the lower lash line. And for the brow, I'm going to go into this shimmery shade here at the top. It's a little bit pinker than the ivory shade next to it. I'm just going to put this above the crease just for a little shine, and it also kind of dilutes a little bit of the mess up there. All right, so we're going to call it quits here. Add some lashes. I'll show you the finished look in a second. So this is the final look from a distance. I have to say the color of the eyeshadow I really like. You know, it's a little bit of a burgundy plum, but it's cooler in tone, so it's not like red eye look. It's not too pink, and I think it's really pretty. So on my skin, I have the Sisley-Cislea Latent Foundation in 0R with the Victoria Beckham blush in Knickers and the Chanel cream bronzer in 395, the deep shade. And on my lips, I have on La Bouche Rouge a satin lipstick in Rosewood, and the brows are the Jones Road brow pencil in Ash and the Rare Beauty mascara. And that's it. So yeah, you know, overall it's an okay look. Definitely not my favorite. I like the color, but my application, I apologize if it's not good. Let's face it. I'm taking the Suku crease brush. This is from the one from Selfridges. It's goat hair. And we're going to go into this brown one here and add this to the crease. And I have the VISEART eye primer on. Wow, that goes on more pigmented than I was expecting. You can see that shade it's not shy. So just put this in here, gently buffing that up a little bit higher and a little bit in the outer corner here. Just gonna take a dab of this deepest brown shade here, just a little bit on here and just dabbing this outer portion. Next, we're going to go into this shade here. This is the second one. This is the Sonia G Worker Brush from the Lotus set. And I'm going to start just a little bit closer to the inside from the second half. And I'm going over the dark brown as well. Let's add a little bit more here. It's a really nice light taupey shade. Before I move on, I'm taking the crease brush again and I've wiped it off and I just want to lighten this up a little bit. So I'm actually going to go into this shade here. It's the last one in the first row. I'm going to get a little bit of that on and I'm going to add this just to the top, just to tone that down a little bit. All right, and next we're gonna go into this light purple at the bottom. It's a really pale lavender shade, using the worker brush again, and going to softly blend that into the taupe. So this is it. Just taking that crease brush, no product, buffing that a little bit. Then I'm taking the pencil one and I'm going to mix these two together. So going first into the dark brown, just knocked off any excess, and then into the lighter brown. So I just want to darken that up a little bit. I'm going to put this in the outer corner here. And then also on the upper lash line. I'm going to add a little bit more of the dark brown to the upper lash line here. Probably too big of a brush. I'm going to take the Worker Pro or the Worker brush, and I'm just feathering out the top part of that so it's a little smokier there. And then for the rest of the lower lash, I'm going to go into this light brown that I used, the light taupe shade. And I'm putting that on the inner portion of the lower lash line, and I'm just going to kind of smudge those together. All right, so this is the eye look up close, and I'm going to finish my makeup. I'll show you from a distance. And this is the final look from a distance. So I have on the Melt Honey Thief Cream Blush on top of the Lisa Eldridge foundation in shade 2. And the Phytosurgence highlighter in Fresh Fog. And Tom Ford lipstick in Sugar Glider. All right, so I have the VISEART eye primer on. We're starting off with the Blender Pro, and we're gonna do a mix of the ivory and the camel shade here. So just dipping into ivory and then camel, knocking off any excess, and we're gonna put this in the crease. We're gonna go with a light taupey look today. We're gonna go into this bottom shade here, this bottom like brownish taupey shimmery shade. This is the Esom W23 brush. So just gonna pick some up, knock off any excess, and we're gonna start at the outer half. Oh, I love this color. You can see that beautiful satin sheen there. Just gonna pat a little bit more of this on, make it a little bit darker. And now we're gonna go into this lighter brown shade at the top. Same brush, and we're gonna put this on the inner half here. Just adding a little extra where the two shades meet. I love this. I mean, this is like the type of everyday eye look I go for. So yeah, this is definitely really pretty. And I was thinking of adding like a touch of the deeper shadow in the outer corner, but honestly, I don't think it needs it. I kind of want to go with something like lighter and brighter. So I think I'm just going to add a little bit of this shade, oops, down on the lower lash line. I'm going to take the angled side of the brush. So this is a little bit of an arrowhead type thing. So just using the angle. I'm going to take a little bit of this light lavender with the Refer 23 brush. This is going to go in the inner corner here. And then I think for the upper lash line, I actually want to use a little bit of another purple. So we're going to take a drop of, this is the Esom Pro Mixing Medium. So I'm going to take the Refer 23 in this, and I'm going to go into this first shade here and just get a little bit of product on here, trace it along the upper lash line. So this is going to be light. It's not going to be like an impactful liner, but I'm going for like a really light look today. And you can see this gives it almost like a silvery purple kind of quality. I really like that. All right, so I'm gonna finish my makeup. I will see you in a second. So this is the final look from a distance. Today I have on the Sisley Sislea Le Teint foundation in 0R. I have the Milk Cream Light blush on in Honey Thief with the VISEART's Fresh Fog highlight. Lips is actually a mix of two of the Givenchy Sheer Velvet shades in 16 and 18. And then I added the Surratt Noir lash tint and the Jones Road brow pencil. And that's everything. So I have to say, this is like quintessential everyday look for me. I love it. So I have the VISEART eye primer on. We're going in with the Refer 16. We're going to go into this shade here and just put a little bit of this into the crease. And I'm going to go into this lighter shade here on the top, just a little dab, and put that under the brow. Ooh, that's a little bit more satiny than I was thinking. Just going to wipe off the brush and blend that a little bit out. And I'm going to go into this mauve matte shade, just a touch, still the same brush. I'm just dabbing this on the outer portion. Okay, and next I'm going to take a little bit of the Esom Pro Mixing Medium. Just getting a drop of that in my hand, and I'm going to use the Sonia G Soft Shader. So just getting that damp, wiping off any excess. And I'm going to go into this first lavender shade. It's a little bit more like a little pinker than the one on the bottom. So I thought it would go nicely with this more mauvey shade. Let's see. Look at that. So the brush is still damp. I'm going to go into the brighter one on the bottom, and I'm just going to dab a little bit of this in the center. Okay, and just, I wiped off the brush. It's still slightly damp. Going into this lighter shade at the top, and just going to get a little bit of this in the inner corner here. Look at that, like a frosty white. It's actually more like champagne-ish. And going back into this shade from the beginning with the Sonia G Builder 3, and I'm just going to put this on the lower lash line, and this is dry. I'm just going to get a touch of the cooler tone purple to put here on top of the brown. All right, so I'm taking a liner brush. This is actually the Ben Nye RS0. It's just a liner brush. And I'm going to get this damp with the Esom Pro Mixing Medium. And again, just wiping off any excess liquid. And I'm going to go into the sparkly like cranberry shade here. So I'm going to pick this up, put some on my hand here, make sure it's, you know, smooth. Okay, and I'm going to use this for the liner here. And I'm not going to do a wing, but this would be a great time to do one. All right, so this is going to be the final eye look for today, and I'll see you after I finish my makeup. And this is the final look from a distance. And I have on the Sisley Le Teint foundation in 0R, the Hourglass Vanish Cream Blush in Sacred, Tom Ford lipstick in Sugar Glider, and I had the Surratt Noir lash tint and the Jones Road brow pencil. And that's it. So I hope that was helpful. We're going to go ahead and do a few color comparisons, and we'll talk about like my favorites here. Personally, I really love this whole palette, but my very favorite shades would have to be, you know, these, let me just show you the actual palette. I love the whole first row in particular. I use this whole first row quite a bit, this top row. And then I love this shade, this matte shade, this one, you know, pretty much all of them, except I don't care for the camels much. If I had to pick my absolute favorite, it's going to be this more blue based lavender along with this more taupey shade next to it. Those are my top two. And then followed by this more like vibrant champagne ivory shade. So those would be my absolute favorites from it. But honestly, this is probably, I don't know, it might now be my favorite of the Etendu size palettes from VISEART. So I don't know, Violette has always been my favorite. This might beat it. Just to show you Violette, it doesn't really, like, there really aren't any dupes with this. The closest would be like this more lavender shade. You know, let me use my other hand actually. But it doesn't quite go with these. I'll just put this here so you can see. It's, let's put it up here at the top next to this one. You can see it's more vibrant. And it's a little bit more rosy. So this is a Paris Love Letter palette. Most of the shades in here are not going to be similar, but I did want to compare a couple of them. So this here is their like satin ivory shade. You can see that it's going to be more yellow instead of that like pinker, peachier tone to it. And then this last shade here, this is really more of a gray, but I just wanted to show you how it compares. You can see the difference between those. This one here is not quite as camel-y as the camel shade. Let's put that right there. You can see it's going to be lighter in color and it's got a little bit more orange to it than the one in the Cashmere palette. Moving on to the Paris Edit, let's take a look at this burgundy matte shade. This is going to be deeper in color than this one here. I'm going to put it right here so you can kind of see how the tone goes, because this tone actually matches this a bit more, the metallic shimmer shade, but you can see that this is more wine versus more plum. You can see how much deeper it is than the matte shade. This matte, the lighter one here, this one's a little bit more mauve tone. Let's put that right here so you can kind of see, the difference between those there as well. These other shades, they really don't quite go with any of them. They're more pink or more peach than everything in the Cashmere. Moving on to the Petit Four, the Lila's palette. This one here, we'll swatch these two shimmer shades, but they don't quite go. You can see that they're going to be more silvery and more gray. This is Framboise, the pink one, and I will go ahead and swatch these two here, but these are much pinker than anything here. So here's the shimmer. I'll put that up here actually. Here's the matte pink. You can see that's gonna be a warmer pink. Let me just do that shimmer again. We'll put it up here by these. It's not quite as intense or vibrant as the one in Cashmere. They do have a similar tone to it, but yeah, it just doesn't have the same intensity. The Chocolat one is much warmer, more like more orangey browns. And then this one here is Praline. And this one's gonna be warmer in tone also, but let's go ahead and we'll just swatch all four of these. So here's Praline, and not sure if I can squeeze that in. Let's see. So you can see those actually kind of match pretty well. So it's from Praline. So yeah, Praline's kind of close to those two. Let's look at this one. Nope, much more gold. And yeah, don't quite go. So two of the shades from Praline kind of go with this, but the majority of the Cashmere palette obviously is going to be something different. So I do feel like these are pretty unique. Overall, I would have to say that this palette, it's one of my favorites from VISEART. I really, really like this. I do think US Beauty Pro will be having a sale relatively soon. You know, they always do something for Black Friday. I don't know all of the details yet, but they typically do stuff like buy one, get one free or something like that with the VISEART palettes. So I would definitely recommend, you know, looking into that. But I just wanted to share this because I know a lot of people have been asking me about this palette. I've been wearing it in a lot of my videos and I love it. It's like perfect for like everyday neutrals for me. Like I love those like taupey lavender type shades. So I really like this. And this one today is like more of a pinker look and I really like it. You can get things that are really bold from this palette, but for me, I think it's all about those more muted shimmery tones there, and that's what I really love about this palette. I think it's gorgeous, and I love the fact that even the pink shades, which are not typically my favorite in a palette, I love the fact that they are not too red based. They have some of those bluer tones, so they're not going to give you that red eye effect. They're definitely a little bit softer and easier to look at. The matte formulas on these are really easy to use. They blend out very nicely. I just think the whole thing, the whole palette is absolutely gorgeous. So I would highly recommend this. I hope the comparisons and the swatches and the eye looks were helpful. Please let me know if you have any additional comparison requests down below in the comments, and I will see you very soon. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Have a great day and stay safe and healthy.